Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. My name is Spencer and this is my 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma build beside me. It's currently wrapped in combat green paint protection film. It's got the high clearance bumper with a 3-inch lift from Elka, and we're running 33-inch General Grabber ATXs. If you've been following the channel for some time now, you'll know all about the builds. But previously, I've done a bunch of different dashcam installs going all the way back here on the channel to my 1995 STI. The Tacoma's been running the Blackvue DR900X, which is a 4K dashcam with a Sony Starvis Gen sensor. It's important to remember that for later. And in the Tacoma, I've been running what I consider the ultimate setup as well, because in conjunction with the DR900X, I've also got the B124 dedicated battery that sits in the glove box. So instead of a traditional hardwire where the dash cam runs off the truck battery when it's off, and then when it's turned on, it's running through the accessory fuse, the battery only charges in the glove box from the accessory fuse when the truck is on. So I have a separate battery that's like a buffer between the truck's battery and the dash cam. And that battery I find lasts anywhere from 2 days, maybe 3 days if I'm lucky. It depends how often the dash cam's turning on. I've been running this DR900X now for 3 years since I got the Tacoma, and it's worked flawlessly. Literally not one single problem. I've not even had the memory card go corrupt or had to change the memory card. And this has worked perfectly ever since. But the DR970X 2-channel dashcam is out. It's the same 4K resolution at 30 FPS, but the biggest change is the new Starvis 2 sensor. So the processing sensor itself is just significantly newer, almost a decade newer, 10 years since the Starvis 1, and the Starvis 2 is out. So this is a full 4K UHD dashcam, 2-channel. I'm a big fan of 2-channel. They make 3-channel dashcams if you want an interior camera, maybe if you're a rideshare, Uber, or Lyft or something like that. But for the Tacoma, in the truck, of course, I position that rear camera low enough that it sees right underneath the tent. It's not the best, but the front is obviously important, and then having that battery gives me 24/7 parking detection without even touching the truck's battery, because it's already got so many other accessories wired up to it. So without further ado, let's go take a look at what's in the box of the DR970X, and then we'll get started with the upgrade. I'm going to be taking out that DR900X. I'm going to keep the battery, show you guys how that's set up, and then unbox and install this one. I'll show you guys how I get around the airbags and that pillar. And then at the end of the video, I'll have a bunch of raw, uncut, and edited footage for you to see, some fast speed, parking lots, etc. See if you can see the license plates. Before I put the dash cam in, I'm gonna actually install the wire so that we can position it if you don't know where to put it. But to do that, you wanna actually start with the end that goes into the dash camera so that you don't have all the excess wire at the top. We're gonna work our way across the top of the windshield and just tuck it into the roof liner. It's super easy. Down the inside of the pillar here beside the airbag. Tucking it through the dash is super easy, and then it just goes in the back here to where my glove box is. Now, if you're not running a battery setup like this, all you'd simply do is run that wire further across to your fuse taps for the hardwire. And you could also mirror this entire install on the other side by removing the same pillar. The bolts are just in different spots. Okay, so this is how I've got the wire started. I'm going through the back here, and then I've got a bit of excess wire here. What I'm doing specifically is tucking it underneath so it doesn't cross over the airbag wires. Even here you can see it's going to go behind those wires, and then I'm going to put the wire up here behind all of this. So if this ever deploys down this way, it's not going to disrupt these airbags here. So if you've started by installing the fuses, you can go across or up, and once you get to the top, usually once you're past the airbag portion, you're not going to be able to adjust the wire anymore. Before it, you can adjust it in and out just enough to get the right amount. If you have just a bit of excess wire at the top, you can just kind of loop it like this, and then just tuck it into your roof liner like that kind of. And then once you get over here, You can just go across the very top and pop out right behind where you're gonna have the dash cam. So now I've got the main power wire just hanging up here. I'm gonna move on to doing the rear wire. So front, it connects into the dash camera. We're gonna go across the top again. Same thing, we have to go all the way back down because this airbag goes all the way up past here. So we don't wanna go anywhere near that portion. So we're gonna go down the pillar again, through the dash. All right, update. So the rear camera wire, make sure you put the one that has a 90-degree angle at the front so it looks nice and neat with the other front one. And it's super small wire, so it tucks in easier across. Same thing with the pillar, it's in behind everything, behind the wiring back there as well, so it doesn't even cross over that. And then I've reached the dash. The dash is easy because this little plastic piece, you can just go around it. You can kind of see I can just tuck the wire down that, this like rubber weather seal. And then once we get to the bottom here, it's gonna go into this footwell back there. So I've got the wire now tucked in through the dash and it comes out. I put it right in the back through the footwell panel. If you take that small cap off, you can tuck the wire in behind where the screw comes out. So just gonna push that under and then it goes down here. I removed this footwell panel, but you don't necessarily have to remove it if you don't want to. You can actually just tuck the wire in on the edge of it. But if you do remove it, you can tuck the wire very neatly in kind of on the other side of this stuff so that it doesn't ever get like pinched. But you don't even have to do that necessarily if you just push it under the carpet here like that and then have it there. Pop this guy back on. And then the rest of the wire just goes to the back here. This is where I just tuck the wire in on this pillar. Same thing with the rear, you don't necessarily have to remove this panel. Just tuck the wire in or as close to underneath as you can. And then I'll pop this back on. You can just keep tucking the wire in here all the way up this trim behind the rear seats. And then you should be left with the connector end of the wire. You can get it up here in position to where we're gonna put the rear facing camera. So now you should have your main power source either connected to the fuse panel under the driver's side or a battery in your glove box like I have set up, with that main power wire going up through the top, behind the airbag curtain, across the roof liner, and then coming out right behind the mirror. And then the rear camera wire should also be positioned in the same way, going from the top, across the roof, down behind the airbags, down the dash, across these foot panels, and then up behind the rear seats where we're gonna position the rear camera. But what we're gonna move on to next is installing the dash cam up there, and then positioning it, and then we'll be almost complete. So depending on your vehicle, you might wanna power up the dash cam first to make sure everything works. And you can also connect it to the app and view the live view video as you position it to make sure you're getting it in the center. I've got the Blackvue app connected to the new dash cam. It's super easy, it's seamless to pair. You just tap on the side of the camera when it prompts you and it'll pair it to your phone directly. Before we put everything back on, it's a good idea to power it up and test it and make sure everything works. So far I've just got the front connected, but I am going to go and position the rear. I've connected it to the app now so I can view the live view video as I position the camera to make sure I'm getting it nice and centered. So now that we've tested and everything seems to be working, our camera positions look good. Only thing left to do is button everything back up. So if you took any panels off, put them back on, and then over onto the pillar. I'm gonna use one of these little clips that come with it to just tuck this one portion of the wire back here. I don't like how it comes that close, so we're gonna just hold those kind of up there. So to put the pillar back in, you start at the bottom. Takes a little bit of convincing, but just line up all the clips, start at the bottom there, and then should clip into place. Take our 10 mils and install those